Welcome to the Vegalogue podcast, a dialogue about the Australian vegetable industry from AUSVEG. I'm Campbell Cooney.
I was amazed at the sheer volume of onions that they grow.
We were privy to visiting probably 5 of the biggest onion exporters, growers, processors in the world.
In September, onion growers from across Australia spent 2 very busy weeks in Europe as part of the Vegetable and Onion Study Tours program funded by Hort Innovation. These industry study tours provide opportunities for Australian vegetable and onion growers and supply chain businesses to increase their awareness and knowledge of the research and innovations in the global horticultural industry through the delivery of tours to strategic vegetable and onion growing regions, conferences, facilities and innovation centres around the globe. Over that fortnight, the group visited onion farming, packaging and processing operations in the United Kingdom and the Netherlands. 2 of the tour group were Lynette and Glenroy Logan, who are growers based in Queensland's Lockyer Valley. I caught up with Lynette and Glenroy in October at the Gatton AgTech Showcase held at the Queensland Department of Primary Industries Smart Farm, where a workshop was held on the program to fight the Stemphylium onion disease. When it finished, the Logans joined me to give the workshop some insight into the tour. Glenroy started by describing their first stop in the UK.
Stout Garden is one of the UK's leading onion specialists, based in the Lodge Farm near Gloucestershire in Essex. Now this company is in a partnership with another group called PG Ricks Farms, and they do a whole range of processing. A family 60 years truly set its roots in farming. And that's typical of all of the places we went to.
The second week of the tour was in the Netherlands, a global leader in onion production and the base for another massive player in the sector.
The main one I was going to talk about was Waterman Onions. 2.5 years ago, built a big processing facility worth $20 million. Or 20 million euro. They have now, at this stage, heading to the end of the year where they're looking at, they're not big enough yet to accommodate everything. So they're going to build another factory, warehouse, processing plant, 2.5 times the size of what they currently got to handle their expanding growth. There's farmers over there grow onions for all of these guys. They stick to the idea that the company itself is probably better off not being involved in the farming side of it. So one of these companies, Watermans, have got 1,003 farmers growing onions for them. And that group, the biggest size is 20 hectares of onions on each farm. They're running into a problem now of they need to turn over production so much quicker. Instead of going 1 in 6 years, they're down to 1 in 2, 1 in 3, 1 in 4 years rotation. And the only way they can get more land in the Netherlands is to build another dike and reclaim some of the land from the ocean, which they're seriously considering right now.
And Lynette Logan explained that demand and the need to meet it means processors in the Netherlands have to work closely to ensure it's met now and in the future.
One of the companies said it was years ago where if a farmer had a problem with their onions, they could turn around and say, no, we're not taking your onions now. But with the way land is over there, they don't do that to their farmers anymore. They will just try and get the best money they can for the farmer to keep the farmer on board.
In Europe, environmental laws and standards have put limits on the chemicals producers can use. And as Glenroy Logan pointed out, what's happening there reflects what's happening here.
They're in the same boat as we are, losing fungicides, losing insecticides, things being removed from the market. And they're on an uphill battle to Fusarium and downy mildew is quite big. They did talk about Stemphylium, and there was no mention at all any time about white rot. So I came away not knowing whether they've got white rot there or not. They've got 3 fungicides and 2 insecticides, I think it was. They're struggling, and that's why they want to increase the area of onions grown to get this rotational up higher so they get away from having the disease in the soil all the time.
The workshop at the showcase was coming to an end, so the next day I travelled out to Logan's farm outside Gatton.
We're a long-term farmers in the area. My great-grandfather came out from Scotland in 1860. 1869 he selected 300 acres of land here, and we're still farming most of that today. 156 years of Logan occupancy on this property.
I started by asking Lynette why they wanted to go on the study tour.
We've always, well, most of the time we've grown onions, so the onions were a keen thing for us to be following. We've always wanted to go overseas to see farming more than going to cities. So it suited us to go and have a look and see what they had over there. And we were quite blown away.
You were?
Oh, yes.
What way?
By the size of...
The operation.
Yes. Not so much, we didn't see so much big farms, but we saw big grading facilities. So in some sense they were sharing the profits, sharing money around the place. So whereas here, a big farmer, if he wants to extend, he just goes and buys another farm. So I was amazed at the size of the sheds, the size of the packing things, and they didn't just have one grading machine. Some of them had 4 or 5 or 6 grading machines doing the job.
Everything's mechanised, and the pack houses themselves are getting to the stage now of having limited staff and robots taking over all the packing roles. Like Lynette said, just mind-boggling.
What also grabbed the Logan's attention was just how much producers in Europe rely on export markets.
It was just phenomenal that the one pack house, 20% of their onions was only sold in the Netherlands. The rest was all exported all around the world. And they're in a pretty good sort of a place where they are, because they've got container ships going backwards and forwards past them the whole time. The one company told us that they worked it out, it costs them 5 cents a kilo to market their onions or to send their onions around the world to different places. They've got the finances and everything worked out really well.
The tour gave the participants the chance to see the latest technology in growing, packaging, autonomous operations, pest control and land management as it's used in Europe, sometimes on a scale that took their breath away. But would any of what they saw be able to be introduced back here at home?
Any of it would work here, really, honestly, any of it would work here, but it's on such a grandiose scale. Like, we would just want one of those sheds to cover everything in Australia.
When you're looking at possibly around about 500,000 tonnes of, no, 500,000 tonnes of onions being packed over there and sent around the world, we don't compare anything like that. So most of it could be introduced here, but on a very small scale. We did see a couple of things. One was a slow-moving laser machine that was zapping the little weeds as it went, but that too has probably got a massive price tag, and so at this stage very few of us could afford one. The other thing was different machines that did weeding between the rows.
One interesting thing to combat a problem was, because the Netherlands is protected by a huge dike, I guess they're still calling them, and a lot of it's 3, 4, 5 metres below sea level, which is a little bit daunting to think about. We're running around there, what happens if the wall breaks? But one of the things they use is that because there's so much water there, the one farmer was talking about their biggest problem was nematodes. And it's probably more on carrots and other crops more so than onions, but they actually flood the whole, they put galvanised iron walls up all around this paddock, and they just flood it, and they flood it for 6 months, just keep it topped up with water, and they find that's a good result. That's a good way of getting a result of getting rid of these nematodes.
For the Logans, the study tour was an opportunity they are pleased they were able to take advantage of.
It was an excellent time. We're so grateful that there was a smaller than usual number of people wanting to go.
The Vegetable and Onion Industry Study Tours, Project VG 23002, are funded by Hort Innovation, using the Vegetable and Onion Research and Development levies and contributions from the Australian Government. And as Lynette Logan pointed out, they are study tours. They are not a holiday checking out a couple of farms.
For the 2 weeks that we were on the onion tour, there was no holiday. By the time you got out of bed in the morning, you had breakfast, we were on the go. We'd stop and have a quick lunch and we were on the go, and we were only getting home 5, 6, enough time to have a shower, tea and a bed. And so, yeah, there was no sit down and relax and time sort of thing. It was busy.
You've been listening to the Vegalogue podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and give the podcast a rating and review. Vegalogue is produced by AUSVEG, the peak industry body for Australian vegetable growers. You can find more news and information from AUSVEG at ausveg.com.au, on our social media channels, or in the Australian Grower magazine. I'm Campbell Cooney. Thanks for joining me.